how did you end up in a suburb of Kansas City?
Yeah, it's an interesting story. I guess you have to start from the beginning, really. I started in MMA when I was 23, so it was kind of late. How I got into it was I went and picked up tickets to a local MMA event, and the person that I went and picked the tickets up from was a like a MMA coach, and it was at a gym. And he was like, "Oh, do you train?" I was like, "No, you know, I like boxing. I've always thought about trying it." And he said, "Okay, well, before you try it, come in, have a trial, see if you like it." But I didn't at first, and I didn't actually end up going to the fight night. So I had a friend's birthday party I had to go to instead, and it was at like a local nightclub, and I ended up getting my drink spiked. Yeah, and I ended up in hospital. It was the weirdest, scariest experience ever. I had a taxi back to my house and I had to like stop at the side of the road to throw up. Like, I knew that something was wrong, and I don't remember getting from there to the hospital. I remember flashing lights at one point, but that was it. And it kind of really freaked me out. So even if I didn't fight for self-defensive purposes, like let's go in and see if I like it, and I did. 6 months later, I had my first fight, and from then, like I got signed with Invicta and came over and had my debut fight against Cindy, which I lost. It's kind of like a good thing because I wouldn't have made the move if I didn't. As hard as a decision it was to leave my home, I knew that down the line in 5-10 years time, like I was gonna regret it. So that's how I ended up in Kansas City. I'm a martial artist, but I'm also a fighter. And I think that there is distinct difference between the two. But I think that you kind of have to be in the sport of MMA these days. Like, you can be a martial artist, but you have to have that mentality of a fighter, of like, you need to go in that cage, beat the shit out of your opponent and get the job done. You can be a martial artist when you're training. That's fine. Like, it's all about the journey, and everyone has their own journey. But as soon as you step in that cage, you're not a martial artist anymore, you're a fighter. I just look at you and that's when I flip that switch. I'm like, okay, I have a job to do. I'm gonna break this person's will. I've seen a lot of violence. I've experienced a lot of violence, and I've dealt a lot of violence. I guess like there's a part of me that craves violence, that enjoys it, and I guess it's a thrill. Physically hurting somebody else in a legalized manner, that's great. I always had a lot of anger issues. Like, I remember once this girl was like bullying me, and I literally like went into the classroom and like threw a table across the room. I know. I've constantly been sent to a counsellor for anger issues, but there's a part of me that I guess has always been rebellious, has always been prone to violence. That sounds so bad, but oh well. It is what it is. When you can feel someone giving up, it's a great feeling. The thrill of winning, you know, it's one of the most exciting things you can do. Like, after you've just been in a fist fight and you get your hand raised, like all your emotions are just so heightened, and it's exciting, and people wanting to support you and watch you and take photos, like that's exciting and humbling, and I got addicted. So I'm a half glass empty person. That also makes it tough in not only my everyday life, but in training, because I put so much expectations on myself, and I try so hard to like implement all the new techniques that, you know, we're learning, and it makes it hard because like I set myself to a higher standard. And being a girl, I feel like I have something to prove. You know, this is such a male-dominated sport that I feel like I have to prove why like women deserve to be in this sport too. Like being the only girl in the training room it's different. It was definitely like, it was more of a struggle when I first started. That's still to this day one of the things that I struggle with the most, is like being the only girl in the training room. I feel like sometimes they hide behind my height and my size, because I might be one of the tallest in the room, but that's the thing, I'm not one of the strongest in the room. My movements when I spar, it's not like a typical girl. I guess I try to break the mold and not be the 1-2 slit 2 take down, that kind of, like I try to mix it up. I try to do different things like that the guys are doing, and I think because I hit angles that they don't normally expect, that they kind of have to, I don't know, go harder on me.
Setting that up, I'm working out. Maybe I hit
Like sometimes I feel like they go harder on me than they go with other guys. Maybe that's to prove a point. Maybe that's they want to push me because they know that I'm capable of it. I don't know, but that's just something that I'm constantly having to find a balance, and I guess that's where my toughness comes from. I'm like, I get beat up all the time in the gym, so like there's nothing that these girls can do that I haven't experienced before. Like I don't ever train with women. You know, I try and do the best that I can every day. I try to implement what we've been learning, and that's all you can do. You always put 100% in. But like I definitely would like to see more girls training, no matter what size. Like, or no matter whether they want to fight or not. I think it's always great to see people step out of their comfort zone and do something that they haven't done before, and see them grow as a person through that. I think it's definitely awesome to see that. I just consider myself like an everyday person, like everybody else, trying to achieve a dream. It's been an incredible journey so far, and it's definitely exciting to see, you know, what the next stage of the journey is going to bring.
We did it. I'm so glad that I'm with you. I think we can go this way.
Before we start, is it Megan or Megan, or is it your accent?
It's Megan. So
It is Megan.
So
Okay.
like the easiest way I tell people to pronounce it is like pronounce it with 2 E's, even though there's no 2 E's.
Okay.
So most of the time people, when they first hear it, they think Megan, but and I'll answer to both. I'm so used to it now, but it's actually Megan.
Awesome, thank you. We've always had this long debate. It's like, wait, is it just her accent?
So many people, I get so many people tell me that all the time, like, oh, well, we kind of thought like maybe it was Megan, but then you kind of sound like it was Megan. Like, I don't know. Think like Negan from
Walking Dead.
The Walking Dead,
Okay,
just
there
with
you
an
go.
M.
You're listening to the Vox Media Podcast Network.
MMA Fighting presents Timeline. Yan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. October 4th, 2014. UFC Fight Night 53. Nelson versus Story. Stockholm, Sweden. The 17-3 Yan Blachowicz makes his UFC debut against fellow European fighter Ilir Latifi. The former KSW light heavyweight champion brings that Polish power and wins with an impressive first-round knockout. Unfortunately, Blachowicz would drop his next fight by decision against Jimmy Manuwa as the co-main event at UFC Fight Night 64, Gonzaga vs. Crow Cop 2 in Krakow, Poland. September 5th, 2015, UFC 191, Johnson vs. Dodson 2, Las Vegas, Nevada. Blachowicz makes his debut on American soil and faces Corey Anderson on the main card of the pay-per-view. Blachowicz loses by decision, and for the first time in his career, the Polish fighter suffers back-to-back losses. Yan gets back on the winning track with a decision victory over Igor Bakrajic at UFC Fight Night 86, Rothwell vs. Dos Santos in Zagreb, Croatia. The good times don't last, as Blachowicz drops his next two matchups by decision. Blachowicz would lose to Alexander Gustafsson at UFC Fight Night 93, Arlovsky vs. Barnett in Hamburg, Germany. And then the Polish light heavyweight last, as Blachowicz
doesn't matter whether I'm the first fight of the night or the main event. It's just me and another guy in that cage, and I'm gonna do it. Yeah, being a champ is just, like I said, it's just a little trinket you get along the way when you on the level that.
Potentially in professional sport, where you see someone as dominant as Amanda was and have that validation on the back end that she did this because of two reasons: what she was born with and her hard work and attention to detail. So Amanda, thanks for being a great ambassador. Thanks for being an example for UFC fighters, MMA fighters, and even kids. And looking at you now as a mom, that really comes into the fold, the message you're sending as a mother, that you can do things the right way. So congratulations. Here's your jacket.
You're listening to the Vox.
And I want to be one of those guys that'll get top three, or they can just say, nah, it's him, guaranteed, bar none. And that's my goal, and having fun along the way, The moniker, it comes from the TV series, Avatar, the kids show, yeah. So I was watching that as a kid, and I kind of related to Aang, the main character, a lot in his journey, his quest to realize his destiny as the Avatar, because he has to master all the elements, fire, water, air, and earth, to realize that he's a guy of this world, So in this game, I feel like I have to do the same. I have to master all the elements of martial arts to realize my destiny as the Avatar.
Let me ask you, everybody was so excited with Israel in his debut, both in the cage, his creativity, but also on the mic, his confidence. Were you as impressed as everybody else was?
I was, but I knew it was coming, right? Like, we knew Israel Adesanya before people in the UFC got introduced to him, because I called him. I said, hey, are you willing to come and train with me before I fought Jones the first time? Because I saw the similarities right away, right? So when we watched him in preparation for the fight, thinking that we can get him as a training partner, what he did in there was no surprise. What did surprise me was his ability to stay within himself in his first UFC fight. Didn't get excited when he hurt his opponent. Took his time, stayed the course, defended takedowns, right? He would get taken down, get right back up to his feet. He just fought as well as you could expect for a guy making his UFC debut.
You look at Israel and sort of the body of work he's put together. I mean, his overall combat sports record is something ridiculous, 70 wins, something like that. How do you view him as a prospect? How do you rate him? Is he one of these blue chip prospects where by the end of the year, we may be talking about this guy in title contention? Or is this something where we maybe should slow our roll and let him get his feet wet?
It'll take some time, but not a really long time. It'll take a little bit of time for him to fight for a title. But I want you to know this, though, that when Yoel Romero and Luke Rockhold were going to fight for the interim title, and Romero will miss weight, Israel said, hey, I'll fight Rockhold. No questions. He goes, I'll fight Rockhold for an interim title. Why not? That's the confidence of this young man. He's a really, really big-time prospect. The UFC seems to be putting, I mean, he's on Fox on his second fight in the promotion. There's a lot of hope that he could become a star. He has all of it. I mean, he has everything to become a star, but he's got to take care of Vettori.
Adesanya wins by decision.
For me, I just keep going forward. Like, I don't really care about the expectations of other people. It's just the expectations of myself and my team that I put on myself. So I expect highly of my performance. So tonight I'll give it like a 4 out of 10 if I'm being generous, like a 4 out of 10. But yeah. Next, I heard Brad call me out, Brad Tavares. So if he wants it, he can get it. But let them they can all look at this fight and think, oh, he's been exposed or whatever, you know. Let them think that. Come see me and you see what happens when you're in there with me. Well, wait till later on. This is my second fight in the UFC. It's my second fight in the biggest fight promotion in the world. So I'm still swimming well, you know, with these sharks. And yeah, you'll see. Just give me time. Try and beat me now, because every time I step in there, I get better. So if you want to try and beat me, try yesterday.
And that'll do it! There is a new undisputed UFC bantamweight champion.
Это пусть не звучит высокомерно, еще как-то нагло, но я его разобью. У меня такой только план, мысль такая.
Amanda Nunes is the greatest female fighter of all time.
Oh! Amanda Nunes knocks Chris Cyborg out cold!
She's without a doubt the best power striker in the sport in women's MMA.
Oh! Amanda Nunes, still queen of the jungle!
I'm the best on the planet!
She's done it all, but I've never been scared to fight anyone.
Oh, buckles over the right. Tommaso, Megan Anderson.
She is long and dangerous on the feet.
We're all human. We all bleed the same, and everyone's beatable. I'm going to make it a dogfight. It's going to be a war.
This is an amazing fight.
It is champion versus champion in a true super fight.
I want to be the guy that took out everyone, so when it's all said and done, they'll be like, man, he's a GOAT. He's the greatest of all time.
Oh!
There's no one like me, like no one.
Israel Adesanya is the most sophisticated striker we've ever seen in the sport.
That is it! You are looking at the greatest middleweight in the world at present.
That's the last style bender, folks.
If I want to be the champion, I have to beat champions.
Oh! Belal Muhammad! He's the undisputed UFC light heavyweight champion!
When he lands, he can shut your lights out. Oh! Anderson's down and out! Polish power!
You know, I've got a lot of power. I've got legendary Polish power, and he's gonna feel it. I will knock him out.
Championship triple header, it is upon us.
What an amazing night of fights.
Belal, remember the name Muhammad. He's won 8 of 9 overall.
Just a rock-solid contender.
There's the tap! Gotta think somebody in this top 10 is gonna get the name Belal Muhammad at some point here soon.
I am one of the best fighters in the world.
Oh! Oh, he's down straight away! That's the end of the fight!
I can strike and I can grapple. I can do it all.
This is tight. He can have it. It is all over!
Leon Rocky Edwards!
100% I'll be a champion one day. Not just going out there and proving it and putting him away.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for coming today. We appreciate it. Due to COVID protocols, Edwards and Muhammad aren't here today. Nothing that's going to stop the fight or anything. They both had COVID already, so, but you know how that goes. Who's got the first question?
Israel, if we could start with you, please. I mean, from the time you came into the UFC, you've been right, and you've delivered on it over and over. But, man, this is a big step up. You know, the legendary Polish power, the size. I mean, at any part along the way of prepping here, did you sit back and say, oh, my God, what have we done here? Have we bitten off more than we can chew in this one?
Never. I got a big mouth, so I can eat a lot. For me, this is exactly, like you said, what I've always predicted to do in this game is change the game, change history. And I came in here just over 3 years ago, and look what I've done so far. And I got a long way to go.
And that interests me too, right? Because you said that, hey, after this, if you win, you still want to go back in that middleweight title. But it's clear you have John Jones's attention. You know, you've teased moves to heavyweight as well. I mean, there's all these huge opportunities. So at that point, would another middleweight title defense even interest you, or does it become about chasing, you know, the biggest opportunities available?
Depends, but yeah, middleweight's my division, so I ruled that with an iron black fist. So yeah, I'm gonna go back down and handle business there, depending on the lay of the land. But also, I look ahead and see. I peek ahead. I don't look too far ahead because I've got this Viking in front of me. So yeah, I'm looking straight at him. But yeah, I peek ahead and just see what the lay of the land is and how I can change history again.
And you talk about history. I mean, I've heard a lot of people say that you have the ability to transcend the sport, like Conor McGregor. You know, just become this massive global superstar, maybe even bigger than MMA. I mean, do you welcome that? Do you see that for yourself? Is that something that you want, a legacy like that?
It's inevitable. It's inevitable. But I just have to get used to it. You know, I just have to accept it and not hide from the role that I'm in, not hide from the platform that I'm on. Because a lot of people get to the spot and then they start to like, you know, I've been here now. I'm like, shit. I mean, what did Kanye West say? Y'all can have it back sometimes. But I just accept it now, and it is what it is. I am who I am, so I just run with it.
Thanks, Mr. I appreciate it. Jan, I wanted to ask you, I mean, you've been chasing this belt for a long time. Now you're up here defending it. Is the feel, is the emotion, is the energy any different now that you're finally the champion and they're having to come at you?
I'm just happy that I can, you know, defend my belt against someone like Israel. So that's it. You know, I'm happy, excited. I cannot wait, you know, step inside the octagon and start, you know, fighting.
Obviously, he's a fantastic striker, but he's moving up quite a bit, and he's going to be a lot smaller than you. Do you see him as a knockout threat? I mean, are you concerned that he could KO you, or do you feel like maybe the size is more of a factor than he's acknowledging?
You know, I try to knock him out, and you know, defend myself the best I can. I try to use my, you know, all power, my weight to wrestle, to take him down, or, you know, just knock him out. We'll see, you know. But, you know, he is really good striker, so I have to be, you know, watch for everything, because also he can knock me out.
And everybody seems to be focused on what happens with Israel if he wins. You know, but what happens with you if you win? I mean, you could certainly win this fight. So are you thinking, hey, I want to get John Jones' attention, or I want to, you know, think about moving up to heavyweight, or is it just, you know, defend the next light heavyweight?
Yeah, I don't think right now about heavyweight. I think about 205. I want to, you know, defend my belt in Saturday. Then, you know, again in the 205. So we will see. First of all, I have to win against Israel.
Thanks, Jan. And Dana, just quickly for you, I mean, I know you still got 9 months left in the year, but a lot of people are saying card of the year already. Can you just talk about putting this card together and like what made you decide we're going to do 3 title fights, we're going to blow this thing out of the water like this?
Yeah, no, it just lined up that way. All these fights came together at the same time, and you know, the card is stacked. This is one of those cards that I'm excited about. My staff is excited about. You know, the internet's excited about it. It's got some good buzz. It's a fun card. A lot of good talent.
Last thing for me, we've heard about, you know, Israel's visions and how quickly he's, you know, moved up in the sport. He talks about fighting in packed stadiums. I'm curious, you were talking about Florida, Texas has opened up this week. I mean, I'm curious if you've started talking to Texas, number one, and number two, if he wins, do you feel Israel is the type of talent that could sell out a stadium here in the United States as well?
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps doing what he's doing and, you know, continues to win, continues to break records and do these things, yeah, like he said, it's inevitable. And yes, as soon as the governor of Texas said that, I called. Dallas said no, and I'm working on Houston. So see if we can get Houston done. I want to go to Texas ASAP. I'll go in the next 2-3 weeks. I'm ready to roll. So we'll be first. We'll open this thing up. We'll sell it out and be on our way.
Andrew over here. Obviously, you've at this point fought everyone there is to fight. So I'm curious, what does Megan bring to the table that you haven't seen before?
No, every fight's completely different. So I feel like she have the reach advantage. She's tall. I feel like she's very dangerous. I feel like this is a huge thing in her game plan because she's tall and long. I feel like that can be a little difficult to figure it out. But the first exchange, if I find my time, everything, I will finish it.
At this stage of your career, are those things like the height and the reach exciting things to try and challenge yourself with, to try and overcome?
Definitely. I like to challenge myself. That's why I pick MMA, my sport. Challenge myself all the time. This is the fight is going to challenge me and bring all the best of me.
For Megan, obviously, Amanda's legacy in this sport is well known at this point, and we sort of talk about her challenges as, well, what can they do to really fight against, or what can they do to challenge her? What do you bring to the table that she hasn't seen before?
I feel like I'm the true first featherweight that she's fought that brings a lot of power. I know Felicia's a featherweight, but I think styles make fights. I have a lot of power that I bring to the table that I don't think she's seen in a very long time.
At some point, I can imagine when watching tape of Amanda, it would almost be overwhelming, but have you seen holes in her game that other women haven't been able to exploit?
I think everyone has holes in their game. I think you just have to find them, and we've looked at the tape and we've got a game plan, so we're ready to capitalize on those moments when we see them.
I think for you, your journey to a UFC title fight has been a long one that's been sort of met with loads of obstacles that aren't necessarily your own fault. So what exactly does it mean for you to be stepping into the octagon on Saturday night to actually finally fight for that UFC title?
Yeah, it's been a long road to get here, but I'm glad that I finally got here. I grew a lot as a person, as a martial artist, getting to this point. But yeah, I'm just ready to put on the show. Everyone's invincible until they're not.
A lot's obviously been made with the credentials, with the grappling compared to Petr's striking. So, but as a grappler, what is your assessment of the champion's grappling skills?
I think Petr has very good grappling. I just don't think it's to the level of mine with the level of competition that I drill with on a daily basis at Sarah BJJ. And some of the competition that he's faced, I've got to train with those guys as well. And I like to think that I'm one of the elite guys out there. And if I get his back, like those guys have got his back in the past, it's going to be a problem. And it's going to be a short night.
A similar question. As someone with your striking background, what do you make of Aljamain's striking skills inside the octagon?
Ударные навыки.
Удар, но по сравнению с моей, я смогу нокаутировать его.
You have a good striking, but comparing to mine, I'm sure I'm gonna knock him out.
Another question for Petr. Aljamain has said to legitimize yourself as a champion, you have to get he as a young. Dominic Cruz says you just need to defend the title at least once. What do you make of these statements, and do you agree to become a champion? You have to successfully defend your belt first.
Чтобы позиционировать себя как в качестве чемпиона, доказать, что ты настоящий чемпион, он говорил, что ты должен победить его. Согласен ли ты с этим? И также Круз говорил о том, что чтобы стать настоящим чемпионом, ты должен защитить пояс.
Да, безусловно, я должен побить первого претендента, кто заслуживает драться за пояс.
Yes, of course, I need to beat #1 contender to prove everyone.
And one for Dana. We've had a lot of very dominant bantamweight champions, but right now it seems like anyone in the top 5 could really contend for the title. Can you remember a time that the 135-pound division has been this competitive with these two men standing?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And I love this fight. I feel like this fight is one of those fights where it's two guys in their prime, that's perfect time for them to meet each other. Both guys have looked incredible in their last few fights. And this is the perfect matchup at the perfect time.
And one final one. Glover Teixeira has insinuated that he might weigh in as a replacement. Is that true at all?
What was the question?
Is Glover going to weigh in as a replacement? He seemed to think that that might be a possibility a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Yes, he will.
Questions em português, sorry. Você já quebrou todos os recordes possíveis, né, na história do UFC. Se você parar para pensar, a primeira mulher a conquistar 2 cinturões, primeira mulher a defender, entre homens e mulheres, né, os cinturões que você conquistou. Agora ter vencido todas as 6 campeãs, né, da categoria peso galo e peso pena. Eu queria saber, você disse que agora é sobre momento, né? Como é que você vê o seu futuro e o que ainda falta conquistar?
Meu trabalho, né? Eu tenho que continuar defendendo meus cinturões, os 2. Eu acho que eu tenho que continuar trabalhando. Eu acho que essa luta vai só memórias mesmo. E agora, daqui para frente, ver como é que o que vai acontecer na categoria de baixo, para ver qual vai ser minha próxima oponente. E lutar, continuar lutando. E agora com Reagan, né? Quero que ela faça parte desses momentos comigo e continuar lutando. Acho que não tem mais o que realmente fazer. E sim, se a vida me mostrar algo, com certeza eu vou agarrar com unhas e dentes.
Como é que foi aquele primeiro momento que você levou ela no octógono ontem? A gente viu você e a Nina e a sua filha, né? Você disse que queria fazer algumas fotos com ela. Como é que foi esse momento?
Eu nunca esperei, assim, nunca pensei, né, que eu ia passar por um momento desse na minha vida, mas ontem foi mágico, assim, foi uma coisa surreal, que eu desejo para todo mundo. Quem quiser ter uma filha, um filhinho, acho que é a melhor coisa que eu fiz na minha vida.
I asked her first, like, what did she feels yesterday when she brought her kid to the octagon? She wanted to make some memories, she said, and she said that was magic. It was the first time that she could actually be inside and take those pictures. That is something that she wants to do, and that's her moment right now. And the first question was, like, after all the records that she already broke in the UFC, what does she see in the future? And she said that she's looking into the division, the 135-pound division as well, to see what's going on, and then she wants to see if it's possible to defend the title. I just have one more question to Israel. You trained with André Galvão, and I want to know, like, how much did you improve your game since you started training?
I've been doing jiu-jitsu for a long time. I think in the jiu-jitsu world, they call it sandbagging because I haven't really been in the gi as often as I should. So when I went to Atos, being stuck in the United States towards the end of last year, my game stepped up in that 5 weeks. You have to. Like, I mean, someone in my position normally wouldn't really go to a public open school like that and then just openly get ragdolled by everyone. But then I figured, like, it was like, oh, I sucked less at jiu-jitsu every day. And then by the second week, I was getting props on how my game in Nogi and Gi was elevating. And yeah, there's some stuff on the mat that stays on the mat. So yeah, just I'm getting there. I'm not where I need to be. Same with striking. I'm not where I need to be, but every day I'm getting better.
And just for Petr Yan, if you could talk about doing his camp at American Top Team, how much that helped evolve your game as well.
Все было отлично. Каждый лагерь для меня что-то новое. Я стараюсь приобрести что-то новое. Я продемонстрирую это в субботу в бою.
Everything went great. You know, every game I'm learning something new, and I will try to show it in my fight.
I hope they teach you how to catch a mouse.
Говорит, надеется, что тебя научили, как ловить мышку.
Я мышей ловлю всю жизнь.
Catching the mouse my whole life.
Mouse don't strangle people, though.
Ты одна из них, которая будешь поймана.
And you're one of them.
First one, visitors down here to your left. There's only been 5 double champions that have held the title at the same time, and one of them is a few feet away from you. Have you taken any inspiration, any motivation from some of the ones who've come before? For Israel?
Oh, no. My bad. What was that?
There's only been 5 double champions in UFC history as far as holding the time. One of them is just a few feet away from you. Have you taken any inspiration from any of the ones who came from before you?
Have I? I guess so, yeah. It's a very elite, exclusive club, and I'm going to be the 5th one to join that club.
And then just for Aljamain, got announced from New York at this press conference. Obviously, you're a Long Island guy, but you did your camp this time at Extreme Couture. Why the change, and what are some of the things you've added to your game at Extreme Couture?
I came out here for a couple of reasons. I'm still with my team, Cerro Longo, first and foremost, so I started my training camp back home in Long Island the first time, and then the fight got canceled for whatever undisclosed reasons. And then now we're here, started my training camp back home again. Got in shape with the UFC PI. They've been nothing but great to me, Bo and the whole team, Heather, Tara, those whole crew. And I don't take care of my body as well as I should, like a professional athlete. So coming here, it gives me the opportunity to utilize everything that Dana and the UFC gives us, So very fortunate to have that. And there's no real change other than the financial benefits that you get for living in Nevada.
Got it. And then just for Dana, a couple. Good to see you. You mentioned Texas, that it's open now, and you said maybe 2 or 3 weeks you go to Texas. UFC 260 is in 3 weeks. There's no chance that would actually be in Texas. Could there be?
Could be.
Really?
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm ready to go.
And maybe
I'd move this one if we could. I'm ready to, listen.
We still got a couple.
I told everybody when this opened up that I would be first and we would go first, and we will.
So maybe next month as well. 261. There's no location for that.
Maybe. Yeah.
You recall they've moved the show before on like a 3 days notice. Yeah.
That's true.
From Vegas to LA. So yeah.
That is true.
I wonder why.
Yeah. If we could do it, we'd do it.
You mentioned the top. Muhammad and Edwards are not here today. The fight is okay though. The fight is not.
The fight's on. Both those guys have had COVID, but for COVID protocol, we had to shut down. Okay?
And I just wanted to ask you also about Khamzat Chimaev. He posted that thing on Instagram a few days ago. Have you spoken to him lately? Any updates on his condition?
No. Listen, the reason we all love the kid and how he got 1 million followers in a couple of weeks on social media is that's the type of fighter that fight fans like, that they like to watch, that they like to follow. He wants to fight every weekend. The guy has some effects from having COVID. So he's on very heavy medication. He's supposed to be resting and relaxing. He's not. He's training like an animal. And, what happened to him is what's going to happen if you don't listen to the doctors. So, he needs to take time off. He needs to relax. He needs to heal. And then he can come back and fight. I don't know what he's going to do. We flew him out here to get him looked at. He's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants. We're trying to help him every way that we can. But, he needs to chill out is what he needs to do.
And then just last one, I think people were surprised yesterday when they saw reports that Junior Dos Santos and Alistair Overeem are no longer with the UFC. Any comment on those two guys and their releases?
Oh, we love those guys. I mean, I was saying this morning, Alistair Overeem's never turned down a fight, and Junior Dos Santos is one of the nicest guys in the world. It happens every week here.
First question for Israel over here on your right. Right over here. Israel, you've talked about in the past your big walkouts there for the occasion. The big sold-out stadium in Australia, that had a big walkout. No fans, a little more subdued. You're going for champ status. Should we expect a big walkout this Saturday?
It's not really just for the big show. That moment at 243 was for that moment. And I feel like, for me, it's unexpected. So it was because that was unexpected. That's why it had such a big impact. So now you all are expecting it like a bunch of junkies. So, yeah, no, I'm just doing what I do. Yeah, it's walkout to knockouts.
Question for Megan. There's obviously a lot of talk about the future of the featherweight division after this one. Is it safe to say, all that aside, you're in this fight just to look out for you and have the best performance for yourself, not necessarily what else might be going on?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to not think about that, obviously, but at the end of the day, I can't control what's done with the division. All I can control is me and putting on great performances. Dana and the UFC are going to do what they want to do. My job is to turn up, show up, knock out, win. And that's all I can focus on. And if I focus on anything else, then I take away from my sole priority, and that's winning.
How does it feel to finally be a Twitch partner?
It's actually a really big deal.
Only like 1.3% of people that stream on Twitch are partnered, it's actually a really big deal. So it's something I've been working on for a bit over a year now. So it's kind of cool to finally reach that achievement.
Congratulations. Real quick for Dana and Amanda, just on that note, just the future of the featherweight division after this one. We know we got our second one booked, Felicia Spencer and Danielle Wolf, but just where the status, either signing more featherweights, and then for Amanda, defending it possibly past Megan.
I'll let her go first.
I will pass Megan for sure. And I'm a champion. I'm gonna keep this belt forever. Then whatever he wanna do with the division, if he after this fight he finds somebody else, I'm gonna be here to defend my belt.
There's the answer to the questions.
Thank you.
Megan Beck here. We were just talking about moving events a little bit, and you've been a part of that with UFC 232, of course. Just some craziness getting here to the title fight. Is a little bit par for the course that we're doing it in an empty building with no fans for you?
I don't really think about it, to be honest. Whether it's in front of 60,000 people or zero, I don't really care. I'm here to do a job. Obviously, fans make it a little bit more exciting, but at the end of the day, you got to block out all of that noise and put on a performance.
And for Dana, with Belal Muhammad versus Leon Edwards, is it possible if Belal goes in and pulls this off that he could be next in line for a title shot?
Yeah, I mean anything's possible in that division right now. So we'll see how it turns out.
Hello guys, Igor Lazarin from News Agency TASS Russia. I will ask Petr in Russian. Скажи, пожалуйста, какие отношения у вас со Стерлингом, конфликт между вами или это просто перепалка словесная для того, чтобы разогреть бой, скажем так?
What kind of relationship you have with Sterling? Do you have a conflict or you want to promote the fight?
У меня нет к нему никакого конфликта. Просто хочется побить эту голову кучерявую и все.
I don't have any conflict with him. I just want to beat his curly head.
Another question for Dana. Dana, Khabib told me that he planned to meet with you here. What the situation with lightweight title now? How long he'll holder of the title? Do you have any plan about it?
Yeah, we're gonna have dinner on Saturday or Sunday, and then just talk and see. I think that a lot of these fights have to play out in that division. From 9 all the way up to number 1. I mean, they're incredible fights. You can mix or match them any way you want, and they're really good fights. And let some of these play out to see who will fight next for the title. And I think that if Khabib is interested, he'll take the fight. You don't hear Khabib saying, "Leave me alone, stop asking me." So there's still a chance. That's the way I look at it.
So, but door's still open for him, right?
What was the question?
Door's still open for him.
I think so. Yeah, I think it is.
Thank you.
Yep.
Real quick for Israel and Megan, back here. There were a couple earthquakes in the New Zealand, Australia area this morning. Is everyone cool on your side over there?
Yeah, on my side, sick shirt, by the way, sick shirt. But yeah, on my side, everyone's cool. I heard about it this morning when I couldn't sleep. But yeah, I think they've got a tsunami warning as well. But yeah, they should be all good. So yeah, we'll hold it down. We're strong nations.
I haven't really heard much about it. I was sleeping, sorry. Yeah, I haven't really heard much about it. That's actually the first time I've heard about it. Also, sick shirt again. But yeah, like Izzy said, we're strong countries. We handle shit.
Got any more? Go ahead. Well, this will be the last question right here.
На русском вопрос Петру Яну. Петр, здравствуйте. Вопрос такой. Мираб Двалишвили рассказала, что вы пару дней назад пересекались с Аljamaiном в зале перформанс-институт. Как прошла эта встреча, что вы сказали Aljamainu, что он вам сказал?
So Mirab Dvalishvili told reporter that you met Aljamain in Performance Institute a couple of days ago. How did this meeting went?
Ну, я его не замечаю вообще, посмотрите на него. Он сейчас тоже, в принципе, сидит, как будто его и нет здесь. Он также и в зале был. Я его даже не понял, он это или не он.
To be honest, I'm not really noticing him, even like here, you know. It's like he's here or not, you know, he doesn't seem visible to me.
And question for
we made eye contact. That was pretty much it. We acknowledged each other, and that's as far as it goes.
Okay.
You have another question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
For you, for Dana White.
Yeah.
Would you potentially be interested in a fighter like Alexander Shlemenko? He is ex-Bellator champion.
Would I be interested in what?
Would you potentially be interested in a Russian fighter Alexander Shlemenko? He's ex-Bellator champion.
Okay. Where does he fight now?
He is in a fight night only for one fight.
I don't know. Listen, I'm interested in anybody who has the potential to be the best in the world. So if he's one of those guys, then I'm interested.
Because he's very popular in Russia.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know about him, but if he has the potential to be here, I'm interested.
Thank you.
Thank you. We'll get this stuff out of here and we'll square these guys off. Thanks for coming today, you guys.
It has been an incredible rise.